Are you tired of feeling like your stomach has its own agenda? Like the bloating, gas, or constant trips to the bathroom are running your life? Welcome to the Beyond Bloated podcast, the podcast where we tackle those frustrating gut issues head on, without strict diets or giving up your favorite foods. I'm Carly, a certified gut health coach who's been there, struggling with bloating that made me look 6 months pregnant, gut pain that kept me from enjoying meals, and fatigue so draining it felt impossible to get through the day. Now, I help women like you find freedom from those symptoms and take back control of their lives. Each week, we'll debunk gut health myths, dive into simple, actionable tips, and hear stories from women who've been exactly where you are. It's time to feel confident, energized, and bloat-free. Let's get started. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Beyond Bloated podcast, or welcome for the very first time. I told you guys that I was coming in hot this month with some juicy interviews, and I meant it. Today's episode is dedicated to all my tea lovers. Fun fact about me, I used to hate tea, and not just tea, but all hot drinks. It wasn't until I developed my gut issues and I started diving into the wellness world that I learned about the health benefits of tea. I started drinking ginger tea and peppermint tea because they help relieve gas and bloating, and that was one of my biggest struggles. But now I'm out here drinking all sorts of different tea blends. I'm now a 2 to 3 teas per day kind of girl, which is crazy because I used to think tea was just some hot, murky water that I did not need in my life. Back at the end of January, I attended the Victoria Health Show, and I came across a lovely lady who was selling Moringa tea. Being the gut health guru that I am, I was shocked when she started telling me all of the amazing health benefits of Moringa tea because I had never come across it in all of my researching. Of course, I had to try her tea. I loved it. I kept coming back at the end of the day asking for more tea, and I obviously bought some to take home with me. I also asked her if she would join me on my podcast to share her knowledge on Moringa tea with you guys because you need to hear this. This magical plant is anti-inflammatory. It's a complete protein. It contains fiber and so much more. I'll let Rachael do the talking because she is the Moringa expert. But if you are looking for a way to get more nutrients into your diet without taking another useless supplement, you're going to want to hear this episode. I won't make you wait any longer, so let's dive in and give a big warm welcome to the founder of Maisha Tea, Rachael Otukol. Thank you so much for joining us on the Beyond Bloated podcast today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Amazing. As always, I love to start right getting into it. How did you get into the tea business and what drew you specifically to your tea brand?
Well, it was almost by accident. It fell into my lap. Moringa found me, so to speak. So my father, he's retired now, but he used to work for the Ministry of Forestry and has some friends who are foresters. A friend of his was going to various countries in Africa, in particular Zambia, and I believe Mozambique, teach some subsistence farmers to grow various crops that were fast growing and had medicinal properties, Moringa being one of them. So those farmers became so proficient at growing Moringa, and it is a very sustainable tree, fast growing, drought resistant. So it grows almost like a weed. They had so much of it that they were really looking to expand their access to different markets. They had really saturated the local market in Zambia. So they had sat me down, and my dad and Gary actually made the suggestion to import Moringa leaves and make a tea out of it. So I took that idea and I ran with it. I went home. I immediately started researching. They gave some blends I wanted to make. I got a food dehydrator off of, I think, used Victoria. This is how long ago it was. And I started getting fresh fruits and like grating ginger in my house, in my apartment, dehydrating it on the food dehydrator, and then blending it with the Moringa leaves to sort of see what the taste was like and how it blended. But that was way back in 2015. Fortunately, I am no longer blending by hand. Well, that was fun and tactile. It is very labor intensive. Now there's a company in Ontario that manufactures the tea for me. It's the same standards that I was making it by hand, and it tastes the same. It's all certified organic ingredients. the Moringa is imported through an equitably sustainable import structure. Still, I'm no longer importing it myself. It's the company doing it for me, and another company does the packaging. It all ships out of Ontario now. So I've come a long way.
Wow. Okay, that's so cool. Yeah, I didn't realize that it was kind of a family-ish thing where your dad found the moringa and was like, hey, this would be a sweet business idea because it has so many benefits and can help people. So, that being said, what are some of the magical benefits of moringa tea?
There are so many. The reason that it was sought after in this particular region in Zambia was because it was used as a supplement in feeding programs for kids. And they were noticing huge results because these children were generally malnourished. But also, there are some antibacterial, antimicrobial properties of moringa that were passing parasites as well, the children. For us in North America, we tend to be overfed and yet undernourished. So the nutritional properties are helpful for us as well. So there's vitamin A, which is really important for your vegan listeners. It is also a complete protein, which is really hard to find in vegetable sources, plant sources. It's a good source of iron, calcium, copper, fiber, magnesium, phosphorus, protein, zinc. I consider it nature's multivitamin. So when you have something that nature has produced, it tends to come with all the other ingredients that your body needs to digest it properly. So how that can also translate, it nourishes body, hair, skin, and nails with all those, proteins, the complete proteins. Fights bacterial diseases, improves cholesterol, reduces inflammation, treats mood disorders, can help boost the immune system, normalizes blood pressure. It's even higher in antioxidants than green tea is, and has all of the essential amino acids that your body needs.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, that is quite the list. I mean, I am very food forward in my approach to gut health. I personally took a million supplements and I found they didn't do the trick for me. I spent a lot of money and it's not enjoyable. Like, you don't sit down and take your supplement and you're like, wow, that was a fun experience. Whereas if you're drinking a delicious cup of tea and you're getting all these nutrients, that's like a nice cozy feel. You know, you could curl up with a book while you're doing it. You're getting the benefits. You're getting them from food, which, as you mentioned, is a more bioavailable source for our body to utilize those nutrients. Because I talk about this all the time. Most supplements on the market are trash. They are filled with fillers and ingredients that our bodies can't even absorb or utilize. So you're wasting your money. Whereas if you get those nutrients from a whole food source like moringa tea, you're actually using those nutrients and you get to have that fun experience with it. So I think that is an incredible way to get nutrients in instead of using a supplement. And I had no idea that it was a complete protein. That's nuts to me.
Really exciting. And you don't need to take a supplement. And I am the same way. I have a collection of supplements that I take in addition to moringa, and I actually do encapsulate some powder that I have left over from when I was importing it myself. But the tea is so much easier. I need to consume more liquid anyway. And it creates a calming and enjoyable experience. It helps me to bring down my cortisol levels, just calm, settle. It is naturally caffeine free as well. So you're not charging up your system and getting a buzz out of that as well. Also, with the supplements that I take, they separate individual elements. So, for example, you hear and take vitamin D. Well, vitamin D works best with vitamin K2. So that's what I mean about the collection of vitamins here. I mean, it's really nature's way of designing those things to work together rather than the way that we in the Western world tend to look at things in a very piecemeal way. You're missing this thing, you need that one thing. Well, if you take too much of this one thing, taking too much vitamin D on its own can deplete retinol. This is why I try to look for plant sources, because I trust that nature has perfected the way of delivering these things to my body.
That is so true. Nature knows what we need and how we need it in the correct form. So that is a very good point. So would you say a cup of your tea a day is like sufficient for getting those nutrients? Like, would that be equivalent to taking, say, a multivitamin, or what's your opinion?
Some of the research has shown, and the research is still preliminary, despite, Moringa has existed for thousands of years. It's not a new thing, but we are still kind of catching up on the science, proving what's happening in science. So a lot of the research will be done with 1 to 2 tablespoons of ground leaf powder. Personally, I find that to be a lot. Even when I'm encapsulating, I take maybe half of a teaspoon a day. And after about 2 or 3 weeks, I really notice an improvement. It's what's more important than a large dose is habitual consumption, right? It's not a medical product. You want to be taking it daily if you can.
Okay, that makes sense. I mean, it's similar to like a multivitamin, right? You're not taking it because you have some sort of crazy medical condition that you're trying to cure with your multivitamin. It's more like you're trying to get some nutrients that you're missing from our food sources or that are gaps in your own diet. So it sounds like the Moringa tea is similar, where if you drink a cup of that a day, you're getting missing nutrients. And over time, you continue to do that, you'll start to notice some benefits. Am I right?
Yes, and so there is also some exciting research about how moringa can lower blood sugar. So that is more of an immediate effect because, sugar spikes and then you consume the moringa and then it helps to, kind of prevent those spikes. So that is one thing. Also with the anti-inflammatory properties, I have heard anecdotal testimonials about it really helping with lowering prostate inflammation, and that had been, a couple of cups after a couple of days and almost immediate. I want to make sure that the things are well researched before I lean too heavily on the anecdotal stuff. So I just to be safe, I just say to try to take it every day.
No, that's totally fair. We're not making any miraculous promises here, but the research is very promising, and the benefits that you listed about moringa tea have been proven. They do have those benefits. Moringa tea does contain all of those nutrients. So if that is something you are looking for in a whole foods bioavailable form, then moringa tea could definitely be a way to get that into your diet, which is awesome. And touching on the anti-inflammatory part. So I know that is a big draw because especially if you are dealing with gut issues, you have inflammation in your body. That the symptoms that you're experiencing, the food sensitivities, the chronic bloating, the bowel issues, your body is screaming at you for help because it is very inflamed. And you're saying that moringa tea contains anti-inflammatory properties, correct? Hey everyone, Carly here. If you are tired of feeling bloated and uncomfortable, which I know you are, I have something that can really help. My free ultimate guide to bloat busting. I've been there myself, and I know how frustrating it is to try super restrictive diets and expensive supplements without getting results. If those methods were going to work, they would have worked by now. That's why I created this guide to offer you a different approach. In the ultimate guide to bloat busting, you'll learn techniques to listen to your body and eat with intention, avoiding overeating and choosing foods that truly benefit you, tips for proper hydration to support digestion and reduce bloating, a guide to delicious foods that promote a healthy gut and how to easily incorporate them into your meals, and effective methods to manage stress, which plays a huge role in gut health. These simple, practical strategies can make a big difference in your daily life, helping you feel lighter, more energized, and comfortable in your own skin. Ready to ditch the bloat without strict diets or costly supplements? Download your free copy today at beyondbloated.com/ultimate-guide and start your journey to a bloat-free life. Now, let's get back to it.
It does. So 2 of the specific anti-inflammatory agents I want to talk about, one of them is quercetin, and the other is the anti-inflammatory polyphenols. And those help to reduce inflammation by suppressing inflammatory enzymes and proteins. Now, the inflammatory response is important and necessary. But however, our inflammation is chronic, and then that creates a toxic environment. It's so you really need something natural, not to shut off the inflammatory response at all, because you need it. If you get an injury, you bump your knee, you need an inflammatory response to that location, send the white blood cells to help and heal the knee. But if you're inflamed all the time, your body is not equipped to maintain that state all the time. So the other compound, the polyphenol, is called chlorogenic acid and catechol. Chlorogenic acid is a polyphenol with anti-inflammatory, antibacterial, and anti-carcinogenic properties. They really help protect against oxidative stress, including cell damage, which really becomes an issue in your gut. And if your gut is inflamed, if you've got a lot of cell damage in there, you're not absorbing. Your gut is where you absorb all the nutrients from your diet. So even you can get into a situation where even if you are finally bringing in those nutrients, you're not absorbing them correctly or as well as you could do if you had a healthier gut lining.
For sure. And that's also where food sensitivities come in. I talk a lot about leaky gut on my podcast. So leaky gut is a condition where your gut is literally leaking to the point where, yes, you're not absorbing your nutrients from food properly. And so that is contributing to inflammation in the body, and that's making all of your symptoms worse. So it is like a trickle effect where once you have these gut issues, it does impact everything down the line, including absorbing your nutrients. And when you're taking these supplements that are from manufacturers that aren't using the right ingredients, you can't even absorb those. So you're not even being able to correct the issue in the way that you think that you are. So Moringa is a great alternative to that because you can absorb it and it can reduce inflammation and it can even help you with leaky gut in that sense.
But isn't it amazing too how this plant, here I've got this whole huge list and abundance of phytonutrients, bioactive plant compounds. And I've also created a way that will ensure that your body can absorb those by keeping the inflammation down, managing the inflammation. So it's just one of the reasons that I love learning about plants is that you really get excited about it's created for me with my body in mind to really solve a myriad of issues.
It is incredible. It almost seems like unreal. It's like, wow, I can drink tea and have all of these benefits because tea is like a little pleasure for people, you know? The people love tea, they love drinking it. And to know that you can drink tea, have a good time, and also nourish your body is very cool. I also want to touch on another thing that you said because I personally don't consume a lot of dairy. I know a lot of my listeners are dairy intolerant. And you mentioned how Moringa tea contains calcium.
It does.
Is that correct?
Yeah. So Moringa leaves contain 16 times the calcium of milk. So for those non-dairy drinkers, again, the vegans, it's really helpful. Also 24 times the iron of spinach and 9 times the vitamin C of carrots.
Wow. This is a powerful plant. I love it. And I also did a little bit of research myself, and I also found that moringa is rich in fiber. That is another crucial aspect of gut health because, of course, we need fiber to help keep things regular. A lot of my listeners, myself included, I tend to lean on the constipation side. So fiber is important for more than just that as well, but it is important for that. It also feeds our good gut bacteria in our microbiome. So it's a prebiotic. It's got fiber. And again, you're drinking tea. This is wild to me.
Well, for the fiber, you really want to consume the leaves, which you can do. And I have a couple of options for that. So a lot of the moringa that you'll get on commercially is moringa powder, just because it's easier to transport. It just doesn't taste very good, but it's really, really antioxidant rich. So my moringa tea is in leaves. So what you can do is grab a coffee grinder, grind it up, take a tablespoon and put it into your smoothie. Or in the Philippines, a lot of people cook with the leaves. So you could just dump your leaves into a stew. And then you've got the fiber, you're consuming the whole leaf. So whatever way that you want to consume the whole leaf, you could even put the dried leaves into your smoothie and blend it up. That way as well, it will be a little less bitter and astringent tasting for your smoothie. So I definitely recommend doing that if you can. Because the powder with all those antioxidants, it gets quite bitter and kind of metallic tasting.
Okay. Wow. Yeah, I didn't realize that. That's very cool. So not only can you drink the moringa, but you can also blend up the leaves, use it as a powder. So if you were to do that, would you say like the nutrients and the vitamins and minerals are more potent if you were to like consume the actual powder compared to like drinking it as a tea?
There's a bit of a trade-off. Whenever you cook anything, certain elements of that plant become more bioavailable. But there is also a degradation of certain elements. So, for example, there is some loss for the anti-inflammatory properties with heat. But the solution to that is cold steeping, which I do in the summer. I just put the tea in cold water, pop it in the fridge next day. It's great. But if you grind and consume the leaves raw, you get the bonus of the things that you would have lost with the degradation of heat, but then it's a little harder to digest and for your body to absorb. I personally kind of take moringa from all angles. That's why I have the powder, and that's why I consume the tea as well.
Okay, yeah, that's smart. So you can drink it as a tea, you can grind it up, use it in a smoothie, you can even cold steep it, especially in like the summer when it's not the middle of winter and we don't really want cold drinks as much.
Yeah.
And then you can get kind of different benefits from the same plant and consuming it in different ways, which is also fun. I like switching things up. I love my
Yeah.
tea, but I also like drinking different types of tea. So maybe if one day I don't want the moringa tea, but I can have it in my smoothie or something. So that way I'm still getting it in daily, but in different mediums, as to say, I guess.
Exactly. You can even, I was thinking about grounding up moringa, making it into a powder and dusting it over a dessert like they do with matcha and impress your friends kind of thing.
Yeah, no, that's
Yeah.
so true. I've even had like matcha like power balls or matcha like vegan cheesecake type things. So maybe that could be your next move is you start making like moringa dessert.
Yeah, you can get really creative, and I like to think of new ideas to consume it.
Very cool. I like that. Okay, so another part of your business is I know you emphasize sustainability and ethical sourcing in how you obtain the moringa. So
Mhm.
why is that important to you and why should that be important to others as well?
This is really important to me because of, and it has to do with the reason that I got into the business. My dad and I were working on an unrelated water desalination project, and we're invited to pitch the idea among other African innovators. And I was just looking there at the innovators around me and just seeing there's so much brilliance. It was a continent wide competition. So I was seeing a lot of really great ideas. But then I would come home and just kind of see exploitation coming out of these countries. And the import structure that we're used to, there are a lot of middlemen. So the person that grows the substance gets paid pennies while, the end product is super expensive. So for me, considering that I was just importing directly from the subsistence farmers, their conglomeration of subsistence farmers, I felt that I could pay them more and then I could also be giving away less of my earnings to a distributor and various other middlemen. So it would be a mutually beneficial situation. Now, the moringa that I was getting, the supply was inconsistent. And again, it was leaves at the time. And a lot of countries are steering away from importing and exporting leaves because it's just harder to deal with. So I chose a manufacturer that also has the same values that I do.
I love that. I think that is so important to, first of all, be aligned in your work, believe in what you're doing. You obviously are doing this for the right reasons. You very much so believe in your product, the power of moringa, and honestly, so do I. I think it's phenomenal. And you're doing it in a very sustainable and ethical way, which I'm sure makes you feel good. It makes me feel good, knowing that I'm drinking something that came from a sustainable source. You're not pulling the scam of the big corporations that they all just want the money. You're in this for the right reasons. You're doing it to help people, including the people that you work with. And I love that.
I think I become so disillusioned with so many companies, even local ones. They start out with a really great product and then they sell their soul to some other company and then the product is terrible and the price point stays high. I was getting so frustrated. And in lieu of feeling frustrated, I thought, well, let me just do something differently. And then I can kind of, when I feel frustrated about what I'm seeing in the world, I can just kind of go into my own space and go, well, this makes me feel better.
For sure. You got to you got to live with yourself, right? So you have to like what you're doing and feel good about it.
Be the change you wish to see and whatnot,
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, as I said, I love your tea. I have it myself. I drink it almost daily, but now after this, I think I am going to be drinking it daily because
Yeah.
I've learned so much. So for anybody listening right now who wants to start drinking moringa tea, first of all, how would you say they should start? Should they drink it 1 cup a day, morning? Like, is there a best time? Like, what's your input for like beginners on moringa?
The way that I started drinking tea in general, when I wanted to be drinking more of it, was to get something that would be convenient for me. So I got a thermos that brews the tea in the thermos. So I could just boil the water, throw the tea in, and then it would be ready. I didn't have to strain it. I could just drink out of that. Now I use a French press to consume it. And
Ooh.
I've actually been using it as sort of a pre-workout because I like to make things myself rather than buying some other company's pre-workout. So I'll throw in a little bit of green tea to get a little bit of caffeine. And then I mix that with my Moringa mint blend so that I get the nice refreshing taste and it tastes a lot better to me. And I do that an hour before my workout, but it's also caffeine free. So days when I just want something cozy before bed, I can have that before bed as well. And then when I'm sick, I'll make a huge pot of lemon ginger. And it's lemon ginger. Well, they all steep indefinitely. They don't get bitter like green tea does, which is good for us ADHDers who make things and forget. So I'll just, put a teaspoon in my French press and fill it throughout the day and continuously fill it so that I'm drinking tea all day and I'm better in no time.
Amazing. That's so
Mhm.
funny about the ADHD comment as I am staring at my boyfriend's coffee that he made 2 hours ago that's still sitting on the counter because he has ADHD and he makes his drink and then he's out and he doesn't remember that he made that drink.
The struggle is real. You need to be able to
Yeah.
come back to it when it's cold and still have it taste good.
Yes, that is a very good point. Okay, so there's lots of different ways that you can enjoy moringa tea. You really can't go wrong by the sounds of it. So just go get some and give it a go. Where can they find Maisha tea? Because that's the one they want.
Yes. So predominantly online. If you are in Victoria, there are a couple of local trade shows that I do, like the Victoria Women's Show, Victoria Health Show, Oak Bay Night Market. But online is where people across Canada can get it. And for all of your listeners, I'm offering a 30% discount with the coupon code Gut Health Pod, all one word. And it's built into the website that you'll also get free shipping Canada wide if you spend over $50.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for that discount. I highly encourage everyone go and give it a try because, like I said, I tried it at the trade show. That is where we met, and I loved it. I kept coming back for more, and I ended up buying my own. My favorite is the mint. But can you also let us know the other flavors you got?
Yeah. So I've got pure, which is just 100% pure moringa, nothing else added to it. Then I've got mint, lemon ginger, and chai. So they're all the blends have moringa in them, of course. Pure is 100% moringa, but the other blends, the moringa is sort of earthy, grassy tasting, sort of like green tea, but without the bitterness and astringency that comes from green tea. So if you like something a little more cozy, comfy, definitely go with the mint, chai, or lemon ginger.
Amazing. And you did mention earlier too, like you mixed your moringa with green tea. So if you bought, say, like the pure, could you mix that with other, like I have a peppermint tea, for
Mhm.
example. Could I mix that with those tea leaves to kind of make my own moringa mix?
Absolutely, you can and you should. I highly recommend it. And you'll find that the moringa just kind of blends itself into the background of whatever you add it to. So if you have a favorite tea, definitely experiment with dropping a teaspoon or two of moringa leaves into it and just see how that blends out. I find you'll still really enjoy it.
Okay, well now we all have a task at hand. Go get
Yeah.
some Maisha moringa tea, mix it with your favorite tea, find cool blends, and then you're gonna message Rachel on Instagram. What is your Instagram handle, Rachel?
I'm at Maisha Tea on all platforms. Yeah, Facebook, Instagram,
Amazing.
Pinterest.
Okay, so you're going to find her on Facebook or Instagram, and you're going to let her know your amazing tea creation that you have created. And maybe you're going to inspire a new flavor. Who knows?
Yeah, send pictures. I'm always thinking about new varieties to come in the future.
I love it. Okay, well, thank you so much for sharing all this information today. I am now obsessed with Moringa tea. I think it's my new favorite tea. I love mint. So the fact that you make a mint blend made my day. I'm going to continue to buy that. I love it. And this has been very helpful. I encourage anyone out there with their gut issues who loves tea, who's taking a garbage multivitamin, start drinking Moringa tea. It's going to be better for you.
Absolutely. And good tasting too.
Agreed. Well, thank you so much. And I am very happy that we had this discussion today.
Me too. Thank you for having me.
Did you learn something new and useful today? If the answer is a big, resounding hell yeah, do me a favor. Subscribe to this podcast. Even better, toss a rating in there too. It helps more bloated babes discover this show and lets me keep bringing you this free, gut-loving content every single week. And hey, don't be greedy. Share this episode with your bestie who's always unbuttoning her pants after dinner. She will love you even more for it. Thanks for hanging out with me and showing your gut some love. Keep on putting what you learn into practice and you will be bloat-free in no time. Catch you in the next one. Bye!